We've considered now how with every sin there's a threefold debt against God, self, and other. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how it is that the sacrament of penance, frequently referred to as either reconciliation or confession, deals with all three debts, and how beautiful this sacrament is in so dealing with them. So the priest receives the penitent, and in so receiving, already one debt is being dealt with. The penitent, long before he or she has ever arrived into the confessional, has already come to a point of conversion. That means they are different than the person they once were. They are now contrite and sorrowful for something that they have done. And by arriving to that point, they now have to reckon with the pain of guilt, the pain of sorrow, that pain of contrition, that debt that was incurred. And so they've already been dealing with the debt against self by the time they arrive into the confessional. Once you get into the confessional, you will, at that time, express your act of contrition to clarify and make clear to God and to the Church that you are reckoning with yourself and that you are paying that debt of self, or against self. But also the priest acts in the person of Christ, and in so doing is also assuring you of the debt that's been incurred against God has been paid for by the cross of Christ. So if you listen to the prayer of absolution, it appeals to the passion and it appeals to the redeeming acts of Christ on the cross. From the power of Christ on the cross, you hear the priest assure you that he has forgiven you of your sins and that it has been atoned for, at least that relationship with God and the debt incurred with him by Christ himself. And finally, there is that debt incurred against other. Now, independently, apart from whether or not the particular people that you may have hurt or offended have chosen to forgive you, the Church, through the priest who acts in the person of the Church, when he offers you that forgiveness and absolution, is assuring you that at least an other, a vicarious other, is offering you forgiveness. And so the priest, as in persona ecclesiae, is in turn acting as other to make sure that we have the fullness of forgiveness by the time you leave the confessional. All three debts have been attended to in this beautiful sacrament instituted by Christ. A debt against God, a debt against self, and a debt against other. And we can see how beautiful the sacrament of penance is and how it is indeed the sacrament of mercy and forgiveness.